Hey, people. We're working it. We're working it. Going to give you an insight on the setup, folks. You people out there in the universe, the world, we're going to show you some behind the scenes 360 performance at KUHSdenver.com. That's what we're doing. So hang with me here. It's such a great day today. Oh my gosh. There it is. There it is. Zip drive my life away. Woohoo! All right. What am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing.
It's everything blessed.
Yeah. I'm saving it. We're doing it. We're rocking it. As crazy as you say, no way. That is it. KUHSdenver.com. I'm Lowell Whiteman, your host of 360 Performance. Every Friday, even without cell service and Wi-Fi. We tried it last week. I apologize to all my fans on the internet and Facebook Live. We're streaming. We're having a great time today. Technology's our friend. It's always my friend when I come into the studio. Always, always, always. Because I got great people here. You know, you got Henry and the crew here at KUHS Denver Studios in wonderful Denver, Colorado area, North Glen, Westminster, all the great places we hang out in. Now, as I'm saying that, again, back behind the scenes kind of thing, 360 Performance. Today we're going to talk about some wonderful topics, well, topic, but kind of grouped together. Our theme today is arousal, anxiety, and influence on performance. Arousal, yeah, and then anxiety, and the influence on performance. It's great stuff, especially with everything starting. You know, the NFL, no more camp anymore. Can't go see them play and practice. You've got rookies out there in the preseason finishing up that. The big guys like the Aaron Rodgers of the world, Flacco is going to be out there. Aaron Rodgers, regretfully, not so much because has a little back problem. Maybe it's because of all that extracurricular activity outside of football. Who knows? But I'm sure there's some arousal there, and then now with the back spasms, some anxiety that he's having. But, you know, we'll have to talk to him to figure that one out, right? As I say that, I'm going to give everybody out there in Facebook land a little different view of what I'm doing so you can see it. And just, you know, check it out. KUHSdenver.com on Facebook Live. We're out there doing our thing and sharing with you. So join us. So here's what we're going to do. To start off with, we're going to talk a little bit about, you know, there's some good things happening. And the NFL is going to be doing some crazy stuff throughout the season. One of those crazy but good stuff. And one of those is the headline from the NFL Football League press release that came out was about, they call it Rock the Nation, ROC. Rock Nation enters into a long-term partnership with the NFL to bring live music entertainment strategies to the NFL. So here's the press release. I'm just going to read it to you. I don't like to do this, but I'm just going to read it to you. New York, press release from the NFL. Today, Rock Nation announces it has entered into a long-term partnership with the NFL Football League as the league's official live music entertainment strategist. Sounds impressive, huh? The partnership will begin at the NFL's 100th season kickoff and will serve as a commitment from Rock Nation and NFL to nurture and strengthen community through music and the NFL's Inspired Change initiative. Isn't that wonderful? I think so. I'm being a little facetious, but it is. It is a great thing because music is power. There's great things can happen with music. Here's a quote. This is a great quote, and this is great because of who said it. With its global reach, the National Football League has the platform and opportunity to inspire change across the country. So says Sean Jay-Z Carter. Rock Nation has shown that entertainment and enacting change are not mutually exclusive ideas. Instead, we unify them. This partnership is an opportunity to strengthen the fabric of communities across America. That's amazing. Now, all right, Jay-Z makes his statement, but here, gotta go with the commissioner, the commish, Roger Goodell. He says, Rock Nation is one of the most globally influential and impactful organizations in entertainment. The NFL and Rock Nation share a vision of inspiring, meaningful social change across our country. We are thrilled to partner with Rock Nation and look forward to making a difference in our communities together. Now, just like any good politician, wonderful statement, get you feeling aroused, but then I'm a little anxious because they didn't tell me what I'm going to get. That's why I'm anxious. Not a bad thing. It's a good anxious, not a bad anxious. But that's part of our theme today. And the NFL helped me start that off. It's awesome stuff. So if you want more information about what's happening with Rock Nation, just check out NFLcommunications.com. Go to NFLcommunications, that's plural.com, and check it out for Rock Nation's agreement partnership with the NFL. Good stuff. Okay, so continuing with the NFL, I'm going to talk a little bit about what's happening. We had a triple header Saturday. That's tomorrow. But I want to share with you what happened Thursday and well, today we got games today. But the results of Thursday's games, it's interesting what's happening. Now, regardless of who you want to win or lose in the preseason is the preseason. Lots of things happening, a lot of dynamic change going on, a lot of, testing the grit and the emotional toughness of players, arousal and anxiety, the conflict and complement of arousal and anxiety. We talked about that and how it influences performance. Well, there's some rooks. Let's check them out because we paid them a lot of money. Let's see what they're like. But here's what the results are. The Eagles got past the Jaguars 24-10 on Thursday. Here's an interesting score. The Jets beat the Falcons 22-10. That's probably a pretty optimistic look for the Jets. I don't know exactly what the strategies were, who played, who didn't, to share with that. But and then we had, regretfully, the Packers. Aaron Rodgers didn't play. Back spasm. Little back spasm. I don't know what's going on. But that's what he was talking about. So got that thing going on there. So they lost 26 to 13 against the Ravens. And then here's a good score here because I thought the Redskins were going to come back and win this game. They had some great outcomes from their quarterback with a huge toss. He chucked a touchdown pass early in the game to take a 13-6 lead against the Bengals, but the Bengals came back and won 23-13. And the Raiders are continuing what they need to do. Cardinals, they had a pretty good production offensively, but there's some elements of the Cardinals. New head coach, Kirk's out there. I wish him all the best in his maiden voyage as a head coach in the NFL. But the Raiders beat him 33-26 on Thursday night. Now tonight's games, we've got Bills Panthers. That's kind of a so-so game. A lot of jockeying around is going to happen there. Watch the Bears Giants game though on NFL Network if you've got the NFL Network package. That should be a really good game. And then I believe there's going to be some interesting things going on with movement with the Dolphins, Buccaneers. Both teams are looking to make some moves and show some people off. The Buccaneers, Tampa Bay's got one of our native sons from Denver, Shaq Barrett's there. Watch to see if Shaq gets some rotations and some snaps on the defensive side of the ball. Should be some good stuff there. There's some interesting things going on with rookies. One rookie, I'm telling you guys to watch the players. Like last 2 weeks ago when I said watch the rookies for the Broncos, wide receiver crew in particular. Flacco's going to get some more time on Monday night when we play the San Francisco 49ers. Welcome back a CSU Ram. Weston Richburg will be on the field. They're practicing, remember, working out with the Broncos this week and doing some scrimmaging. Should be some really interesting competition on the field Monday night. But that being said, Andy Isabella, he had a great run the other night, 59-yard touchdown. He comes out as a rookie from UMass. He, as a wide receiver, he's heralded as one of the premier kids in the 2019 draft. And that was in the Cardinals. I'm looking to have somebody who can throw the ball to him. That's the key there for the Cardinals. The Cardinals selected him in the second round with their 62nd overall pick. Here's what's interesting. The kid must be a gamer because during practice, and this is why I ask you guys to watch the rookies when they play, because this kid did not have any catches during the preseason opener against the Chargers. So now he's feeling it. His arousal is higher. His skill level is the deal. His skill level reduces the impact of his anxiety. And look, everybody has anxiety. We're going to talk about that in the opening segment of Mindset when we get there. I'm going to shift gears and move away from football a little bit and share something a little bit about golf and Tiger Woods. The BMW Tournament of Champions is coming up this weekend. Tiger Woods is feeling better. He withdrew from the Northern Trust Tournament. That was the playoff for the FedEx Cup. He withdrew from that, but he says, I'm feeling good about it. He's going to be with his teammates, his golf mates on the course for the BMW Championship this weekend. Now, Tiger makes it, and this is true for any old athlete. And when I say old, like in golf, old is like 25 or 30. It's not 40 plus. So his technical comment, Tiger's technical comment was, "It's way better." I'm way much more better. He didn't say that. I said that. He said, I'm way better. But he pointed out in his comment, he said, look, I change anything in what I do. It's going to impact some part of my body. Some part of my body is going to respond to anything I do. That's what's going to happen. I know that for a fact. It happens with me. I took a bike ride this morning, and I felt great. But the day before when I took a bike ride, didn't feel so good. But this morning, for some reason, maybe it was the overcast, a little cooler temperatures. I don't know what it was. But instead of riding 8 miles, I rode 15. Just because. It felt good. Just kept going. Well, in the competitive world, it can't be an adjustment on the fly. Like, I feel pretty good today. I think I'll take another pass. or I'll block a little harder. No, you're getting paid millions of dollars. It can't happen that way. It's got to be get it under control, understand what's going on in that moment, right then and there, and make it happen. Make it happen. Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. Arousal, anxiety, and the impact on your performance. Hey, look, you're listening to 360 Performance. I'm your host, Lowell Whiteman at KUHSdenver.com every Friday at 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Glad to have you with us. And I'm just going to make a guess. I'm not going to turn away and look at the terminal over here on the streaming to our international players out there. But I am so glad. I talked to Henry just before the show and realized that we're it, people. We are it. If you want to get a message out to the world, and whether you want to sell product or not, maybe you just want to sell you and have people join your platform. KUHS Denver is the place to do it. I'm so blessed to be here and sharing with you. So with that being said, continue to watch, continue to listen. Check us out as the live show goes forward into other platforms. Check us out. Send me your information, your comments, your questions to 360mindset.com, and send me a note on my website and share with me what you think. Not only about me, but about KUHS Denver, how great we are, and how international we are. And look at with translator software, put it in your own language. I don't care. Write it in Chinese, Arabic, French, German, Italian. I don't care. Send it to us. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know if the messages that we share with you resonate at all. Do they arouse you? That's our theme today. Arousal, anxiety, and influence on performance. Now, with that being said, there are some definitions I have to give you. So, when one is aroused, it's your perception of what you can do and what you believe it can get to. You're aroused. You're excited at the potential. You're considering the environment you're in, and that environment's getting you amped up. That's why home games tend to be more winning scenarios than away games. And then when you look at each individual on the team, I know years ago, B.J. Armstrong, who was a Chicago Bull, but before that he played for the University of Iowa basketball team, when he became a Chicago Bull, they didn't realize he was afraid of air travel. But he didn't want to say anything. So his anxiety was much higher than his ability to rouse himself up for an away game. So the minute you look at the schedule and goes, oh my God, we have multiple away games in a row. That's going to be tough for me. He didn't share that. If he would have, it would have been a situation where we could have defined his degree of arousal was not high enough for away games to match or exceed the anxiety. No matter how good a skilled he was, his skills were going to be muted. His performance was going to be diminished because of his cognitive awareness of his anxiety about flying. Now, as I say that, remember, there's more than one source of anxiety. There's multiple levels of resources, people, or things that might create an anxious state. With B.J. Armstrong, it was travel, air travel in particular. Another person, an announcer, who had anxiety since retired, put him in a bus. The NFL put him in a bus. Said, hey, well, he actually asked for the bus because he said, I don't like the air travel. So he got a little anxious. So for him to be his best, to let his skills come out, he needed to be in a bus. Therefore, his arousal was good. So performance quality goes up as your arousal grows, but at some point, you reach a peak, and your performance will gradually goes down as the arousal level gets higher. Meaning that if you have too much energy, emotion, or arousal, it's going to diminish your skills coming out against whomever that opponent might be, regardless of the conditions. So here are some things that you need to be aware of that get in the way of your performance. It's the all or nothing thinking. So that means that you get more anxious if you believe if I'm not perfect, then I'm worthless. Well, that's the all or nothing thing. That doesn't make any sense. Well, it does, but it doesn't. If you think about it, that makes sense to you, right? Well, what I'm trying to say is one has to counteract that. That's the control of your emotions thing. So in your mindset, when you think of that all or nothing mindset, you need to diminish that thought. Remember our rule of threes? 1 negative, 3 positive. So if you get that all or nothing thought, think of that as a negative. Because that you don't want to have that sitting in your head. even though you might be a very skilled person, in fact, very skilled individuals, they get this swagger that pushes that all or nothing thinking out there. Pull that back. Think of it as a negative. Think of 3 positive things. Oh, I love the color green, or I love the, ice cream, or I love the Gatorade or the jelly Gatorade things I get. Think of 3 positive things that will distract you away from that type of thinking, because that can create some anxiety. Here's the next thing, called fortune telling. Goes like this. When you start anything with "I'll never" or "it won't ever," and this is more of a social thing than a sports thing, but a phrase like "I'll never find a girlfriend" or "I'll never find a boyfriend." It's an extreme version of what the future might look like, and it's called catastrophizing. Oh man, I'll never catch that pass when it's got that high arc on it. Man, I'll never catch his pass across the middle because he throws it so hard. Well, with anything you lead with an "I'll never," and hopefully at the pro level that doesn't exist. Well, I'll tell you right now it does. College, high school, the higher degree of the fortune telling comes into play, the less experienced you are. The more experienced you are, less likely, but still has the potential to sneak its way in there. So don't be a fortune teller. It's especially apparent that catastrophizing is especially apparent when you're going to face a very, very challenging opponent or circumstances that you've never been part of before. Surprises. That's where mental toughness training comes in. But we'll get to that in a minute. The other one, the third one, is emotional reasoning. This one, I hear this all the time with all different athletes, pro as well as amateur. It's, "My feelings are hurt. Therefore, you must have done something unkind to me." Now, this is usually where coaches come in. This is where I say to coaches, okay, we've got this athlete over here. You can't yell at him or her. You can't yell at them. You've got to gauge your words, gauge the tone of your words, and I'll get an anxiety statement back from coaches that are similar to the all or nothing thinking. "I'm the coach here. It's my way or the highway." That's the all or nothing thinking of a coach addressing the emotional reasoning source of anxiety with the player. "You hurt my feelings, coach." Well, I over-exaggerate, right? But that could be what happens. You've got to counteract that. That's the source of anxiety. Now, again, these 3 things, I had a 4th one, but these 3 things here are sources of anxiety that you need to be aware of when you set up your mindset. So that when we get to the skill side of things, you are aware of what those sources of anxiety are so that you can call upon your 5 basic skills to then get into a mental conditioning state that helps you to deal with this and deliver. That's where you're going to be resilient because you've got mental toughness. Now, I'm not going to discount the fact that if there's an emotional reasoning source of anxiety, it might be real. You got to deal with it right then. So those who use, "Oh, my feelings are hurt," man, that just really pissed me off. What comes to mind for me in the football scenarios when you have the offensive bench, you have the defensive bench. So when defense is out and offense is sitting, that's when those emotional reasoning things pop up. So coaches, be aware of this particular source of anxiety. Look in the eyes of your players when they're sitting on that bench. Coaches in basketball, baseball, when you're working the dugout, even though you might still be making calls to the floor, look at your bench. See what's going on your bench and identify whether you have some emotional reasoning scenarios happening that could cause hurt feelings. Now, this is an area also when the game is done or halftime is a good place. You can deal with brief comments about handling emotional feelings and remove the guilt, remove the hostile behavior and the unfounded accusations. Get rid of that stuff and keep that positivity high and share examples. All right, so let me move to the 4th one. The 4th source of anxiety, called should statements. I should be clean and tidy all the time. No, you shouldn't. So the statements are, I should be doing, I should be feeling. So an example related to sports could be, I should be more focused. I should be stronger on my hand movement. I should be better at my execution on that technique. If you hear those words coming out of your head, and maybe not out your mouth, but out of your head, you need to stop that. And here's how you can stop that. So we're going to work backwards on the anxiety solutions. Your skill alone is not the only strategy to use to handle anxiety. Because many players, in both in the business world as well as the sports world, think that their skill sets are enough. I'm stronger, faster, I can jump higher. That's enough. But when you don't get the prescribed results in trying to use your skill set as a combat to the anxiety, and you get less than optimal or failure, that's going to exacerbate, make bigger your anxiety, and then it could be all-encompassing. And you are definitely not yourself. It's going to be hard for you to come back from it. So don't rely just on your skill sets and your physical attributes to get you through the anxiety. There are too many players that go into a game in the warm-ups thinking that the working harder, faster, stronger during the warm-ups will help them to counteract the anxiety. You've got to draw upon that positive self-talk behavior. Talk to yourself. I am about the servants. I forget what the movie was called, but she would talk. Blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl that she was taking care of. You are beautiful. You are smart enough. You are strong enough. And it is a positive self-talk. Incorporate that into your own statements to yourself. I should. If they pop up on the field while you're performing, don't even let them be part of your language. Talk about, I am good enough. I will do this. I have. Project those skills through and seeing it mentally, saying it to yourself privately, and that's positive self-talk, so that you see through that visioning process. Now, when you go to the emotional reasoning thing, that should be, you should feel in the dugout, in the locker room, hardened, resolute. There is nothing and no one that will make me feel hurt. I am in control of this. No matter, it's the trash talk thing. That's historically where your feelings get hurt during a game. That somebody's trash talking to you. In my world, when I was playing basketball and baseball, baseball is less likely to have trash talking going on. The catcher maybe as you hit it. But wherever the source is, whatever the sport is, when you hear that trash talk, first of all, if you heard it, that's a single source of problem right there. Is lock your ears out. What I've done to handle the anxiety that might come from trash talking is that I would listen to the hum of the crowd. There's a hum. If you've ever been in big arenas, you can't hear specific words being said, but you can hear the hum. You can hear the energy level in the room. Make it your own. And I've shared this story before, but I'll share it in terms of anxiety and arousal as it relates to that emotional reasoning thing, that trash talking, or someone that says something that hurts your feelings. We were in Alabama at the arena there at the Crimson Tide, and they've got that place lit up early during the pregame. All 4 jumbotrons are going, the stands are full of kids and fans. There's a noise, and they're directing a lot of their comments at you. They want you to see how great they are, to distract you away from who you are and how resolute you are about you. So to handle the anxiety and maintain that arousal, that when you combine it with your skill sets, allows you to have a curve that goes straight line up through the entire time of the contest. But you've got to deal with that arena, that environment, and the hum. Make it your own. Just like I told the CSU Rams when we were down there playing Alabama for the first time. Make this noise yours. bring it, fans, bring it on. It's mine. You're trying to make me distracted with it, but I'm going to take this noise and I'm going to make it mine, so that when I'm on the field and I'm seeing some lips move from somebody, I don't hear them. I hear the energy from the fans. I hear that hum and make it my own. And I won't hear your trash talk because I'm working on my skill set. I'm delivering my resolution to that noise and making it my own and filling myself up with that energy, so that you can then see what needs to be seen for you. You can see your teammates and pay attention to them. And so when you see your teammates, your ears change perspective and you hear them talk, or you see their movements that you've seen every day throughout the entire season in practice, and you can interpret that and use that as a source of arousal and diminish the anxiety that's trying to be projected on you from the fans. That way, you're free, man. You're free to go. Free to let your skills out. Because if you let any anxiety in, that energy starts to deplete your ability to release your skills. No matter how skilled you are. Look, we've all seen it as high performers. We've all seen what happens to the elite athlete who we know should be able to deliver the goods, right? But they let some anxiety in. It's the lead into that fortune-telling anxiety source. I'll never be able to. I'll never be able to outblock him. I'll never be able to technique over him and get to the quarterback. Well, the minute you have that, even an inkling of the I never, you're done. You're done. They're in your head. The trash talk got you to then start creating your own sound of I'll never. You got to put that self-talk inside of you that says, I got this. I know what I can do. Look, it's not perfect. I'm not telling you you're going to totally overwhelm someone. But you've practiced what you need to practice. You've performed before the techniques. You know what kind of power you have. You know what kind of speed you have. Put that into play to combat. Here's where your skill set needs to come into that fortune-telling anxiety source and say, I will, because I know I can do this. Now, you also know what you can't do. So don't put yourself in that situation. Think through where you need to be so that you can combat the excellence of the other person. Give them credit for that. Look, I know that kid's good at that. I'm not going to put myself into that place to be overwhelmed. Now, but you also want to give that other person credit if they do the same thing you're trying to do for yourself. You're trying to manage the anxiety, get your aroused energy up there, feeling good about yourself, and yet let your skills handle it. But there's going to be times when it's going to be equal matchup. Or maybe that person gets a little bit better of you. Acknowledge it. Wrap your arms around it. Just like you wrapped your arms around the noise and energy in the arena, what the environment's doing, you also give that person props for being skilled. That will help you to manage and control the anxiety levels and put your skills into the right place at the right time. That's why brain-body connections are so important. And why the last one, which was the first one I mentioned to you, the last one about how to handle it on anxiety is the all or nothing thinking. If you're not perfect, I won't get the results I want. You don't have to be perfect. Be you. In the moment, your swagger. When you combine all these four sources of anxiety and look at the strategies it takes to overcome them, you maximize your arousal for the skill set you have. And you perform at your highest level. Now, as I say that, it's a constant back and forth struggle. It's not just, once you start it doesn't mean it stays and climbs. Once you start it, you got to maintain it and keep developing and using it as best you can. Now, as I say, it's a perfect segment right into the mental conditioning piece. But before I go there, I just want to share with you, we've got our germicidal lotion, AvCare, brought to you by AvCare. That's AvKare.com, AvCare.com. Little drop on your hands, protects you for 4 hours, man. 4 hours of germicidal protection with a hand lotion. It's awesome stuff. And what's also interesting is their Waltz D, W-A-L-T-Z, Waltz D product which is for surfaces. I mean, it handles norovirus, which is the stuff that's nasty in restaurants and food service agencies, staph, that kind of stuff. It's powerful stuff. And the Waltz D stuff, if you go to avcare.com, avkare.com, take a look at the Waltz D product. It's the foam product inside your shoes. Kills the smell, awesome stuff, odor eater, and protects you from all those bacterial fungus, basically. Athlete's foot, fungus. Takes care of that and the bacteria that creates that nasty smell. So check that out. And you can spritz it in your locker. I mean, you'll be the king of the locker room if you can take care of the smells that come out of the pads and the shoes and hockey players. Oh, most of the nasty smells. So AvCare, check them out. The other one is Empower. I was talking about. I gave away my last sample. The EmpowerBodyCare.com. EmpowerBodyCare.com. Check them out. The CBD lotions. And look at. As I'm driving here today, I see a banner on the side of the street. Now, granted, it's Colorado, but I've seen them in other states as well. CBD, really taking on, right? Remember, there's a quality issue here. CBD, get good quality product. Empower is noted by their peers as the best spa quality product for pain relief. Put it where it hurts. That's their slogan. EmpowerBodyCare.com. Remember, use my code LW010 to get a little bit of a benefit for you. That's from me to you. All right, so we're talking about, our theme today is arousal, anxiety, and its effect on performance. You need to look at, they coexist. Everybody has anxiety. Everybody. So when you're trying to condition yourself, mentally condition yourself, the game that you play with yourself between arousal and anxiety is a really delicate dance, but it's one you need to master to get ready to deliver your optimal performance when you're called upon to do that. Knowing that, you got an opponent on the other side trying to stop you from doing that. And they're going to try things like trash talking, the emotional reasoning source of anxiety, to hurt your feelings, make you feel bad. Or they're going to put you into a place that causes you to think, man, if I'm not perfect, I won't get the results I want. And oh my gosh, they're so good at what they do. How could I be perfect against them? Well, those are very immature statements I just made. But interestingly enough, even with the most mature and seasoned athlete, pro or amateur, or executive, those thoughts creep in your heads at the most unlikely of times. And especially when you have other human experiences outside of your sport or your business that influence you being susceptible to anxiety growing and arousal diminishing. When anxiety grows, your skill set needs to be matching it. So anxiety will grow sometimes because you're facing a tough opponent, but you're going to resolve yourself to your skill set. Remember I said earlier, don't let your skill set alone be the only thing you're going to use to combat the rise of anxiety, because anxiousness is not a bad thing. Just like fear is an emotion, you want to control it and manage it, not eliminate it, because it's energy, just like anxiety. Anxiety and fear are very close together. They're a very close brotherhood. You want to manage them, not eliminate them, because they're a source of energy. Get your swagger, dude. Get your swagger on. Well, the mental conditioning is the marriage of our mindset with our skills. So in that mental condition, in those environments you're in, you want to make sure, breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth, manage your emotions, and focus on those levels of defense, combat against those four sources of anxiety I just mentioned. The one that's the most prevalent for me is that level of perfection. It's called the all or nothing thinking. You've got to have good positive self-talk to handle that. If you address the all or nothing thinking initially with good positive self-talk, as well as reflecting on your skill set, especially during warm-ups, positive self-talk in the locker room and in the warm-ups are essential. It's also the same thing or if you're an executive in an office and you're going to go do a big presentation, you've got that pregame in your hotel room prior to taking the stage. You need to prep yourself, positive self-talk, and not with an all or nothing thinking. There's nothing in this world that should be an all or nothing thinking process. It doesn't have to be that way. So one of the things I want to, in the mental conditioning side of things, about the environment, is making sure you have control of all the parts. And when I say control, I don't mean a chokehold control, that because then you become out of control. You need to have a control it's got that swagger that represents you. And I'll come back to my example of you're going against an opponent, and there's a drill. I don't necessarily fully subscribe to it, but it's a drill. It's a good example for this particular part of the show. It's that bull in the circle. Two guys or gals going at each other. In football, it's two guys, butting heads. One's got to tackle the running back, got to be tackled by the linebacker. The running back's trying to get around him. That's quintessential example. If you go into that with, oh gosh, he's bigger than me, he's stronger than me, that's the all or nothing. I got to be perfect thing, or maybe he says something to you. I'm going to get by you because I'm faster than you, I'm quicker than you. He's trying to emotionally put those reasonings in that you hurt your feelings, trash talk you, try to get you to raise the anxiety so that no matter what skill you have, your anxiety overwhelms it and you don't perform. That's a great scenario where two performers are going at each other. Both will utilize the same techniques to make sure that their arousal is matched with their skill set, that you deliver what you know you can control, and don't try to do something you're not good at. Because when you try to arouse a skill that you're not good at, you're going to reduce your level of performance. So utilize the skills that you practice and you know you're good at to attack that defender, or the defender's going to try to tackle you. Use the skills that you know work against the athlete that's in front of you. The same thing can be said in an executive setting. Apply yourself in a way that you know you're good at. And now, that doesn't mean don't get better at the things you're not that good at yet, but it's when you're trying to arouse yourself, use it with a frame of mind that's focused on skills you're good at, so that you can maximize your performance, counteract the anxieties that are going to be there. Now, knowing that the other reality is, if you try to artificially pump yourself up too high with too much arousal, that's going to diminish your performance. No matter how much skill you have, when that arousal gets off the charts, the arousal itself is anxious. It's going to create an anxiety. So there's a balance. Like, here's an example of that arousal state getting too high and diminishing the ability for a team or individuals to perform. There are some coaches that I've worked with over the years that thought just blasted music in the locker room, or constantly, jumping up and down, getting all the coaches out in the locker rooms, smacking helmets and shaking hands, and that's just, it's too much. It's artificial. It doesn't allow the individual player to find their own source of their arousal, because ultimately the player is the one who knows themselves the best. It's better to be a minimalist as a coach in the routine of arousal than to participate in trying to arouse a player that you truly don't know them well enough. No matter how long you've been around them, you don't know them well enough to really supply them with the energy and examples pregame that are better than what they can provide themselves. So what does that mean then? As a coach, it means create an environment that allows those players to find their own personal sources of arousal that matches or exceeds the anxiousness of the condition. So what also coaches can do is, in the prep prior to the contest, is to look at making sure that you have a safe environment for them to experience and discover what they need to discover during the game. And in addition to that, make it safe. There are some players who feel because they know each other, they can interject themselves into pumping somebody up. Well, unless they've had a conversation and asked one another what works, as a coach, I would make a message to your players to, hey, get to know each other better than you already do, so that you're not being a distraction or maybe a source of increase of anxiety. Because teammates many times won't say anything to other teammates. Back off. Leave me alone. Now, there are some players that are superficial, and what they'll do is they'll wear their headphones as a way to keep the others away. There are players that don't even have music on. They're just sitting with the headphones on as a camouflage to others that come by them during pregame at hotels, on the bus, so they don't talk to them. But it's healthier, much more effective, if you have a team conversation about, okay, Jimmy, Jilly, Janie, Michael, whoever, what can I do to help you raise your arousal state to a place where it matches off the anxiety? Or better yet, what can I not do that might increase anxiety? So I want to stop doing this, because if I continue to do it, it may make you more anxious. Now remember, being pissed off is a source of anxiousness. That's just another descriptor for being anxious. So managing emotions is the big term I use here from the performance standpoint. Today's theme on arousal and anxiety and how it impacts performance is our theme. It's a fine line. Getting excited about a game, about a contest, practice, an actual contest, a tournament, a championship, all are areas of desire for arousal, to get excited. The simple nature of just the event itself is enough to get aroused, let alone going out and actually performing in those wonderful arenas and places against great competitors. There's no question that who you play against, for some people, is their ultimate source of arousal. They're what we might call gamers versus practice people. Practice is what they love, the skill, they love the game itself, they want to be involved in. For me, and what I do in the performance area, it's the marriage of the skill and the competition that ultimately gives us the premier, true example of an aroused state. Let me role play with you for a minute. We're going to play Alabama. Aren't you just jacked about that? Now, if you get some eyes that don't make eye contact with you, or they look away going, oh my God, you're seeing their anxious state right there in front of you. That is an indicator, coach. That is an indicator, teammate, to wrap your arms around them and make them part of your excitement. We're going to play Alabama at Alabama. This is awesome. Do you realize they have 4 jumbotrons? That's a different conversation than not having any conversation at all and then letting them be surprised how grandiose and intimidating that is. It's not just the 4 jumbotrons. It's the fans in the stands. They're amped up early because they know what their impact will be on you and your anxious state that will diminish your performance over the time of the game. And if we can keep it up for 4 quarters and actually start it off before you even start the first play, we might have you. Especially if you're as skilled as we are, Auburn, Alabama at certain moments, CSU versus CU at certain moments of our history. Both teams skilled equal. Who's going to win the game? Arousal, anxiety management's an intangible. It's what we sometimes call mental toughness or your resiliency. For those announcers that don't know, as my father or grandfather would say, they're butt from Good Country Butter. They use those terms. Oh, it's amazing, the intangibles are the difference in this game. Well, great for the announcer to say that, but here's the reality of it. It happens before the game. It's what you say to yourself, that positive self-talk. It's an understanding of the arousal versus the anxiety and how you need to manage both. Both are energies that can get you to great outcomes. Not perfection. That's a source of anxiety. Imagining perfection. That's the fortune teller. I gotta be perfect or I won't get. Sorry, I misstated. That's the all or nothing. Catastrophizing is the other one. That's the fortune telling. I'll never be as good as the San Francisco 49ers are in town, and there's a CSU Ram on that squad, Weston Richburg, as I mentioned earlier. Well, every player in their career has moments of fortune telling. Man, I'll never be good. Do I really want to play professional football? Should I continue to be a good college ball player? Work through it, gut it out. How do I handle the anxiousness of this moment as a junior going into my senior year? I'm not going to reference any names, but this is a true story. There was anxiety, and the anxiety manifested itself in the middle of a parking lot outside the library of the college. Do I really want to continue with this? Do I really want to keep up with all the BS that I'm being faced with? That's the trash talk. That was emotional reasoning. They hurt my feelings. Does he really want me to play for him? Am I good enough to play for him? Switch that around. Yes, I am, because of these reasons. It's these reasons and my belief in myself that should be the determiner, the foundation of the answer about whether I want to go forward and work hard enough and continue to grow to maybe get a chance at being a pro football player. And in this scenario, he did. He overcame those anxieties. He dealt with those questions he had in that parking lot when we were talking. And now he's a professional football player. Our theme today is about arousal, anxiety, and its influence on performance. And we're in our final segment about process, and that's the performance results segment that brings it all together, brings the first three segments, the mindset thinking, the skill side of things, based on our five senses. That's where our skills start. That's how we get to the place of being a fast runner, a good receiver, a good hitter, a good catcher, whatever the case may be. And then we bring it into the mental conditioning part, the environment. Where are we going to deliver this stuff and keep it all together? Performance result. It's process, process, process. Staying focused in the moment, managing your emotions, understanding, get aroused, but keep it under control. Arouse yourself with the definition of who you are in that moment, your swagger, what defines you, knowing that failure is possible. But not failure from a fear perspective, but failure from, I know it's going to happen. And I actually may even know when it's going to happen. Because if my opponent attacks this aspect of me, there's a chance I might fail. And if you know that, the degree of failure may be reduced. And you maintain control. You maintain the management of your arousal and your energy, keeping it focused. So when you come off of a series or you change possessions, you are still in control, regardless of why that happened. You're managing your resiliency. You're managing your mental toughness because you got arousal and the anxiety it might create under control. You're managing that energy as it fits you and who you are. Man, it's great times. Great times. You're listening to KUHSdenver.com here in Colorado on a Friday, 11 o'clock Mountain Standard Time every Friday, even when we don't have cell service and Wi-Fi. I really feel bad about last week. I had such a great show. We were at a camp. I can't tell you what it is because I've got a non-disclosure thing going on, but it was great stuff. But all great plans need to be adjusted. So we did adapt and adjust, did a show over the weekend. I hope you caught that as a plan B for missing you on Friday. But next week, we're gonna talk a little bit more about high school and college and behaving your way into success, because it's the beginning of the seasons. Some great stuff is going to happen. You've got, in this state, we've got the CSU-CU contest going on, as there are those kinds of interstate rivalries going on all over the country. But there are some wonderful things happening up at CSU. And I really look forward to seeing great things happen with the Rammies and Ram Nation. But I'm also excited about competition and watching good competition. I get asked all the time, well, who are you rooting for at the game? I said, in some cases, I got to be rooting for nobody, just good competition, because I got players on both teams. This weekend, we've got the Rockies playing the Miami Marlins, the inter-conference or inter-league, whatever that's called, playing each other. And Curtis Granderson will be playing with the Marlins. Going to see Curtis this weekend. And if it works out, maybe with the football schedule, Monday Night Football, we might be able to get some guys coming out to watch the Marlins and Rockies play from both the Rockies and the San Francisco 49ers to see some great baseball. I'm really kind of disappointed that they're going to compete. The Marlins are going to compete against the Rockies just because that's just who they are. And I know Curtis well enough to know that he's going to have his influence in the dugout as well as on the field when he plays to always compete. And the Rockies, I really hope that they're going to, I don't know if they're going to have a shot mathematically. I haven't looked at the numbers, but it's not been a happy scenario. Anxiety has raised. It's diminished the performance. I would love an opportunity to talk to the Rockets. Not this season. It's too late. But hopefully in the future about that. So we're gonna have discussions about that next week, about how the weekend went. There's lots of great things happening across all sports. We're going to be talking about volleyball next week, high school volleyball, high school football, and we're going to talk a little bit about fall ball in baseball, high school and college level. I would like to see baseball get a better foothold in the college ranks, especially along the mountain states. You know, CSU still has a club team. I'm really proud of that program there. What they've done, they have to work their butts off to fund that type of thing. So we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. So stay tuned for announcements on the guests. We're going to do some more better promo stuff on the show this week coming up. Outside of that, gosh, have a great weekend. You've got triple header. It's a triple header weekend this weekend. Let me just remind you of that. Who is going to be playing this weekend? NFL preseason football. And here we go. We have is that the sheet that I want to look at? I don't know which sheet I want to look at. There it is. Bills Panthers. That's at 7 p.m. Then we have the Bears and the Giants. I said earlier that's going to be a good game. I think you're going to see some really good stuff coming out of that. That's at 7:30 on NFL Network. The Dolphins and the Buccaneers at 7:30. At 7:30. Let's see here. What else have we got here? What's the NFL telling me? A lot of interesting stuff. And then this week, as I implied earlier, the Broncos play the 49ers. That's a 2 p.m. game on, oh my gosh, it's on Tuesday. I should have looked at this closer. Oh, that's a scrimmage, sorry. Monday Night Football. It's at San Francisco versus the Broncos Monday night, and then they stay until Tuesday. So they're playing again Tuesday. I should probably read my stuff a little more closely. But gosh, the NFL's getting so active. Well, okay, here's what I'm going to do. Go to NFL.com and take a look at all the, it's such a busy, not just weekend. We're busy. Some great stuff going on Monday, just like all of next week. Really active schedule with. But here's some notable stuff. Check out the Cleveland Browns, Indianapolis Colts on NFL Network. They're going to be there doing some insider stuff with camp. You know, no fans are going to camps. It's just the camps are open. So go take a look at that camp on Tuesday. There's some good stuff going there. For us Broncos fans, we've got Monday and Tuesday. NFL is doing some stuff. with the Broncos and the San Francisco 49ers. Just good stuff. Good stuff going on. All right. So, as I say that, let me give you a closeout for the show. We're getting close to the final couple of minutes of the show today. Remember that when you're trying to get yourself amped up for a contest, a competition, focus on amping up your skills, what you're good at. Amp your swagger. Because if you tail off into amping up something you're trying, maybe not so, you haven't done it perfect yet, you're not quite where you want to be, it's going to be a distraction for you. Stay amping up what you're good at. Amp your skills and stay focused on that. That's good positive self-talk inside, so that you can counteract any anxiety that might come as a result of thinking about the competition, thinking about the gravity of the game and how big it is. And that's all good stuff. Like I said before, anxiety is an energy. So wrap your brain around that. Don't let fear cripple you. Fear is an energy as well that's part and parcel to anxiety. So control that is the point. Manage that balance between your arousal and your anxiety, so you're constantly pushing, getting yourself excited about your skills. Man, my hands, I got great hands. There's nothing I can't catch. So focus on that. Get yourself amped about that so that you can run the routes that you know you're successful with against whoever's in front of you. And keep yourself balanced in amping up your skill set and your swagger. Gosh, it's always great on Fridays to be with you and talking to you about performance issues here on 360 Performance. As you might already know, I'm your host, Lowell Whiteman, here at KUHSdenver.com. I'm about ready to say goodbye and have a great weekend. Should be great weather. I'm going to see some baseball, watch some Rockies play against the Miami Marlins. I'm just going to be excited about the competition. Have a great day today, all right?